Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jill Crumpler. I'm with gacoastalrealestate.com. I'm a realtor in Savannah, Georgia with Keller Williams Coastal Area Partners. And today we're going to talk about flood zones. We're going to get started right now. When you start to look for properties in the Savannah, Georgia area, one of the things that you'll notice is that there are flood zones. So if you're new to this area or you just don't understand what the difference of flood zones, then this is the perfect video for you. So you're in a flood zone. What does that mean? Well, it depends on the kind of flood zone that you're in. And yes, there are different kinds. There's not just one overall flood zone. Now, depending on which of these zones you're in affects how much or if you'll pay flood insurance. So what are the different flood zones that you're going to see in Savannah? Well, there's 4 different ones. The first one is X, and that is a very, very low risk flood zone. You will rarely see this flood, if ever. You don't have to carry flood insurance. However, it is available to you if that's something that you would like to do. The second flood zone that you might see is X500. This is also a very low risk of flooding, but there is still a small chance. Now, again, flood insurance might not be required, but it might be a good idea because there is still that small chance. The next flood zone you might see is AE flood zone. Now, this means that you are at a greater risk for flooding, even though you might not necessarily be right next to the water. This is something that this is an area that flood insurance would absolutely be required. The next flood zone is VE flood zone. Now, this means you're at a very high risk of flooding. So you typically see these flood zones right next to the water, right next to river, coastal areas, that type of thing. You're definitely going to want flood insurance, and it's definitely required. So what else do you need to know about flood zones in the Savannah, Georgia area? Well, in the Savannah, Georgia area, we just recently underwent a reevaluation of the flood zone maps. So they are actually going to be officially changing as of August 16th of 2018. Flood maps don't change very often, so double check to see if your property's flood zone is going to be changing in August of 2018. If it does change, maybe now you're required to carry flood insurance, or maybe you're not anymore. No matter what county you're in, be sure to check and see if your property's flood zone is going to change. The funny thing about flood zones is that every property is different. So just because you're on the same street doesn't mean that you're going to have the same flood insurance as the guy right next door or even across the street. It is very possible for you to be in a flood zone and them not to be in a flood zone, or for them to be in a flood zone and for you not to be. So don't ever assume that just because your neighbor is in a flood zone that you are too. Always check to make sure and see if your property is in a flood zone or if it isn't. For more specific information on flood zones in your area, be sure to contact your home insurance provider, or check out FEMA, or check out the county that you live in. Google, for example, Bryan County flood maps, and something should pop up. That's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Take a minute, click the subscribe button down below, click the little bell notification. That way you get notified every time I post new content on Thursdays. Again, my name is Jill Crumpler. I'm a realtor in Savannah, Georgia with Keller Williams Coastal Area Partners, and I'll see you guys next week. The next flood zone, they are changing in August. The current flood map, God dogs, you stink. Ooh.